Now, the comment section here on YouTube is a very unique and interesting place to spend your time. All sorts of different thoughts and opinions are shared in the comments, particularly when somebody is sharing their experience and opinions on a piece of gear. And the comment that I see pop up on my videos pretty frequently or in other people's videos is, well, that piece of gear is too heavy for backpacking. That tent is too heavy for backpacking. It's better for camping. And it got me thinking, what's the real difference between backpacking gear and camping gear? What are the priorities in choosing specific items for backpacking versus choosing specific items for camping? And what is the crossover of that? Because it also got me thinking about this. All backpacking gear is camping gear, but not all camping gear is backpacking gear. That's what I want to define today. So let's dig into it. Now, this video today is sponsored by Anker C300, where we will spend a brief amount of time talking about this C300 DC portable power station. Now, there's two questions that I like to ask myself before I go out on a trip in my planning process. The first is, what's my goal? What's my purpose for being out there? And number two is, what experience do I want to have? Then I'm able to more appropriately choose the gear that I want to take with me because my priorities are more in line with a specific purpose of going out there. And I choose the gear that facilitates the experience that I want to have. Maybe it is going super ultralight and I want to go on a backpacking trip that has that sole focus of adventure with really light gear. Sometimes it is taking things very casual and taking more comfort-focused items that are a bit larger and bulky and facilitate more of a casual hangout camping experience, whether that is still within the realm of backpacking or I am camping from the car. I just want to define what that purpose is because then I'm able to prioritize what exactly I want to take with me and why. So let's use these two tents here as an example to talk about the priorities of why you choose specific items for backpacking versus choosing items for camping. From a backpacking standpoint, I'm looking at gear that is compact and lightweight and is not super bulky in my pack and is not cumbersome to my experience. It's efficient and simple to set up and simple to use and doesn't take up a lot of brain and mind power while I'm out there on the trail. I'm carrying it in my backpack. It's on my back. I need it to do exactly what it's designed to do so that I have that great experience in the backcountry. Weight is a huge, huge factor when it comes to backpacking. And I can see why people get into that mindset of, well, that tent is too heavy for backpacking. I would never use that for that kind of setting. And that's all going to come in various different types of opinions and thoughts and experiences, where I would look at this tent from Nemo and say, absolutely, this is a phenomenal backpacking tent to use for one or two people. Some people will look at this and go, absolutely not. That is way too heavy. That's better suited for a camping scenario. Where I might come in with the mindset of, yeah, I could use this in a camping setting, especially if I'm just out solo and trying to keep things very simple. But what if I've got multiple people? Priorities change. The experience changes. And that's where taking something larger for a camping trip changes your purpose for going out. So I will take something that allows for more living space, for me to be more comfortable and not be so crammed into a small space. So for me, the priorities of camping and choosing the right gear for a camping trip is going to be more focused around comfort and livability and not really concerned about the weight. I do need to be concerned about how much space this takes up in my car depending on what type of vehicle I have so that I can still get everything into my car that I need, but I don't have to be as concerned about the space that this takes up because I've got a big vehicle. It's not going in a backpack, and I want to have that livability, that added comfort, and the ability to take just really those items of gear that aid in enhancing that experience as much as possible without having to sacrifice things like you do with backpacking gear. Very often with backpacking, there is a little bit of sacrifice in comfort that is happening to maximize weight savings and space in your pack and that kind of thing. And I think we go into that experience knowing that that is the case, where camping is toss it in the back of the car and let's just have a good quality experience with some larger, more luxurious pieces of gear. So now a few more examples to just contrast this comparison here a bit more. I've got some backpacking specific items that do fit within that same concept of working as camping stuff, but camping specific gear that isn't really meant for being inside of a backpack and going on a backpacking trip. But I first want to start with power, the things that we use out on our trips to charge devices and such. This is an Anker 10,000 milliamp battery bank that is ideal for a backpacking scenario, but it may not be the best option for a camping scenario. When I'm backpacking, this will keep my phone charged, it'll keep my satellite device charged, maybe some camera batteries for a weekend trip. But maybe if I'm going out on a camping trip, I'm doing a bit more things that require more power. Maybe some small appliances or more lighting, or just in general, I need to charge and power more things. And that's where getting a larger power station makes it more convenient and comfortable for your experience out on a camping trip. So this is the Anker Solix C300 DC power station. The Anker Solix C300 DC, which comes in at $200 USD, provides 90,000 milliamp hours of battery power that also delivers 300 watts of power and includes several different charging ports. You have two USB-C ports that have an output of 140 watts each for really fast charging, then two additional USB-C ports, two USB-A ports, a 12-volt output, and an input for solar for this to charge by solar up to 100 watts of input. You can also put this inside of your tent because the pop-up light on the top of the C300 DC gives you some light options for that ambient light for when you're hanging out inside of your tent. Now, if you want something with a little bit more versatility or different options, the C300 also has some AC outlets for you to take advantage of an AC inverter with 600 watts of surge power or 300 watts of consistent power through that AC outlet. So if you want to learn more about the Anker Solix C300 DC and C300, check out the links down in the video description. But then next up here is going to be sleep system things. I've got a sleeping bag here. This is a Feathered Friends sleeping bag that is meant to be very lightweight and compact and easy to carry in my backpack. Now, I certainly can use this for a camping scenario, but it may not be the most comfortable option for a lot of people. And that's where getting something like this Big Agnes Diamond Park sleeping bag that is massive. This thing is so big, but this is designed to have a lot of space inside to move around and create a bed-like experience and just create a really good, comfortable sleep experience when you're out on a camping trip. This is significantly heavier and bulkier than this Feathered Friends bag here that is designed to be minimalist and lightweight and not take up a bunch of space in your pack. I could probably backpack with this, but it wouldn't be my first choice if I've got something lighter weight that is less cumbersome for me to set up and use inside of a small space like a two-person or one-person tent. Same goes with a pillow. I like this contrast here. This is great. I've got the Nemo Pillow Elite, which is a really tiny blow-up pillow. This is fantastic from a backpacking standpoint because it's very lightweight. It provides somewhere soft and comfortable for me to put my head. But if I am trying to maximize my comfort opportunity, going on a car camping trip, I'm taking a big pillow. This is the Hest Camp Pillow. I love this thing. It is bulky, it's heavy, it's perfect for a camping setting. Let's talk about sleeping pads. Maybe something like this Nemo Tensor is the ideal option for a backpacking setting. You can see how compact, it's lightweight, doesn't take up a lot of space in my pack, and it provides a fairly comfortable sleep experience when I'm out on a backpacking trip. Versus this big guy right here, this is the Nemo Roamer self-inflating sleeping pad that has a super high R value, but look at the size difference in this. There's no way I'm ever gonna take this out on a backpacking trip, but I get massive comfort from a pad like this, and maybe for some people this is a good choice for camping, but if, again, I'm trying to maximize my comfort opportunity, you better believe I'm gonna take something like this to have the best sleep that I can possibly get. What about chairs? I mean, what I'm sitting in here right now, this is a fairly large chair, even though compared to other options out there from a camping standpoint, it's not the biggest, but I wouldn't take this backpacking because it's bulky, it's heavy, but man, the lounge opportunity, the high back, the pillow here on the top, the armrests, this is a fantastic chair. This one is the Grand Peak chair from Kilos Gear, but I'm not gonna take it backpacking, but I sure love it from a camping standpoint. But maybe I do want that luxury item for my backpacking trips, and so I take a 1-pound chair like this Helinox Chair Zero. Now lastly here is the comparison of cookware and cooking gear that you would take out on a camping trip versus a backpacking trip. And when I'm out on a camping trip, I wanna cook really good meals. And so I'm gonna take stoves and pots and things that facilitate the opportunity for me to cook with fresh food and such, because I have that ability to do that with a fridge or a cooler, and having the ability to carry that in my car. Whereas I am not going to do that necessarily on a backpacking trip because I'm trying to maximize space. I'm trying to maximize weight savings, and so I'm going to take something very small and compact and probably just boil water and put that into a freeze-dried meal. So this petrol pot here with a canister stove that I've got, the Green Peak or the Soda Windmaster, or whatever canister stove and pot option that you want would suffice. But the idea is I'm taking something that is lightweight, compact, doesn't take up a lot of space in my pack, whereas I'm not gonna backpack with this. This is huge and it's heavy, it's bulky. I'm just not going to backpack with it, and you can see that comparison there. So hopefully that gives you an idea of some of the stark contrast differences between camping gear and backpacking gear, but also understanding that backpacking gear is also camping gear. But all this stuff here, I may not take on a backpacking trip. Very unlikely for me to take on a backpacking trip. So now hopefully that defines better the real difference between backpacking gear and camping gear, and the priorities in choosing specific items for backpacking, and the sacrifices that we make in being able to reduce weight and such to enhance our experience out on a backpacking trip, versus maybe focusing more on comfort and such with a car camping trip, and being able to enhance that where we don't necessarily have to make any of those similar kinds of sacrifices that go along with a backpacking trip, where we are trying to maximize weight savings and simplicity and such, so that we're not carrying too much on our back, so that we can have a really good experience out in the backcountry. But also remember that how you choose to spend time in the backcountry is totally up to you. We all have different goals. We all have different reasons for why we go outside and spend time in the backcountry. So if you want to carry a 5-6 pound tent, and that's what you have access to, that's what your budget allows, it's what you wanted to buy because it was exciting for you, then by all means, do it, because that's important for you in your experience. If you want to carry a 1 pound tent and that's important for you, go for it. But anyway, thank you so much for watching today. If you are not subscribed to the channel, you know what to do. I do have one final thing to share with you as a companion to the sponsor of today's video, which is Anker Solix and their partnership with Small Rig. So if you are the creative type, Small Rig provides a lot of different options of really cool pieces of filming gear, camera gear, accessories that aid in that creation process, like small lights that attach to the cold shoe of your camera, or even to a phone cage that aids in your filming process if you're using your phone for filming, and pretty large lights that are portable, don't take up a lot of space, powered by a battery pack, gives you the ability to recharge using that Anker Solix power station, but aiding in giving some professional lighting when you were out in more remote locations. So you can check out some of the small rig stuff that I've shown you here today down in the video description. And I want to thank Anker Solix and Small Rig for being part of today's video.